Hi there, welcome back to the YPPN. If you're catching this up non-live, you're watching the recording on YouTube, welcome. Yakvik heads up the Youth Participation Practice Network. My name's Sam. I get to chair this wonderful network, and we've got a fantastic presentation today from the City of Melbourne team, including Krystel, Mary and Kai, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their youth climate action grants and the projects that they've been working on. At the end of the speeches, we'll invite Harmony in from Yakvik's team working on from the Centre of Excellence, Young People and Disasters, to host a Q&A as well. Those of you that are here live, have a think about any questions that you might have for the team, for Mary, for Kai, and for Krystel. You're welcome to use the chat throughout their presentation to ask those questions, and they may respond to them in the moment, or Harmony can ask them when they jump online at the end as well. Or you can think about asking your question live by putting your hand up when we get to the Q&A section at the end. So yeah, without further ado, I'll throw over to Krystel, I think, to set us up and share screen, and I will disappear into the background. Are you good to go, Krystel?
I am. Hi, everyone. I'm Krystel Bendle, Senior Youth Project Coordinator at the City of Melbourne, using she, her pronouns. Bear with me while I try and share my screen. Can everyone see my Canva presentation at the moment?
Just loading. Yeah, I think that's it. We're good.
Okay, excellent. So hey everyone, so I am leading the Youth Climate Action Fund project at the City of Melbourne, and I have Mary and Kai with me as well, who are two of our 2025 grantees, and they're going to share a bit about their projects as well at the end. Oh, sorry, I should have got to here. So these are the beautiful pictures of Mary and Kai, and they did a bit of an introduction earlier. So a bit of an overview. So what is this Youth Climate Action Fund? So it is a global fund, and it's the fund was launched by Bloomberg Philanthropies at the Mayor's Innovation Studio at COP28, which is the Climate Action Summit, and this was in November 2023. So in 2024, they put out an EOI to governments around the world to see if they would like to participate in a youth grant program. So the aim of their fund is the intersection between government action, young people, and climate change, and how it works for each city around the world that is successful is that we would support youth climate action through microgrants. And in Australia, that value was $1,500 to $7,500 per project. So in 2024, we were really lucky to receive 50,000 US, and that enabled us to support 10 youth-led projects. And in 2025, we received 100,000 this year, which is fantastic. So we've been able to have 19 projects this year. So as you can see, it really is a global fund. So there's 92 cities around the world that receive this funding. So it is an incredible amount of money that's been put in this year and last year by Bloomberg. So these are some of the stats just of the program. So in 2024, there were 11,000 projects awarded, 3,700 youth leads, and that incredible amount of money that was delivered, and about 700 sponsor organisations. So a quick shout out now, the grants that go to young people, it's not direct funding into young people's bank accounts. What we do is use a sponsor organisation similar to an auspice, and they receive the funding and are another level of support for the projects and work with the young person to deliver. So this year, there were more than 2,000 projects and more than 5,000 youth leads across the entire funding. So this is us. We're in Asia and Oceania, along with Philippines, Hobart and Newcastle. So not only do we support young people, but we get support as well. This is our coach. They call him a coach. It feels very American sometimes. So this is Tim Thompson, and he founded Snowmelt. So he's been, I guess, a wonderful sounding board for myself. And then there's Angie, my team leader as well. And we meet monthly just to check in and see how the project's going. So we were successful in receiving the money. How did we go about trying to get young people to participate? We used our socials, people in the sector posting on LinkedIn. We funded for ads, targeted socials. We did posters up in places and spaces that young people frequent. We did articles. We made phone calls to young people and agencies that we thought could be interested. We did emails to some of our youth mailing lists and young people that we knew that were interested in this area, and we went out to where young people are. And no surprise, the bottom three were the ones that were the most successful in actually recruiting young people. So that kind of direct contact, the relational, the going to where young people are. So each city receives the funding. So 50,000 last year, 100,000 this year, and then each city chooses how they would like to deliver it. So for Melbourne, our approach is really overarching youth empowerment. So some of the priority pillars in which the way I've designed the program is around co-design, capacity building and leadership for the young people participating, and supporting them to build a community and a network. And it's all underpinned and continuously checking back in on youth feedback and that kind of ongoing support. So we did a co-design session. Round one was very, very quick. It was all up and running within a few weeks through Bloomberg, and then the project itself only ran for 3 months, so it felt a bit like a whirlwind. In round two, we had a little bit more notice, so we pulled together the young folks that participated in round one to help us design what round two could look like. So the key questions we asked were, what's working well, what could be improved, how can we better support young people to deliver their projects, how could we improve the support for community and capacity building, and if you had one blue sky wish for the program, what would it be? So the things that were working well was bringing young people together, was providing some funding, providing leadership opportunities, and also providing some skills building. What could be improved was feedback for me. Don't tell us how to run a project and do goal setting partway through the project. This is something we really need to know up front so we can actually use it throughout the program. The other thing is how we can better support young people. There were some thoughts on the type of capacity building sessions we ran. So in round one, they were really interested in goal setting and outcomes. In round two, they really wanted to focus on the practical and the nitty-gritty of how to plan a project, how to budget, how to plan for an event, and how to deliver an event. So a lot more practical support. We asked about how we could improve the support for community and capacity building. They wanted more opportunities outside of the funding and the projects to be able to link into. And the one blue sky wish was have some kind of big dinner where they could do a really big showcase and get a yummy meal. So that is something that we're planning to do at the end of November. So I'm glad we could deliver on the blue sky. So to delve a bit more into the capacity building and the leadership, so we had a WhatsApp, so we were continuously asking how the project was going, what young people wanted. So as you can see, these are some of the things that young people wanted to hear about. So in round one, we ran this goal setting, three workshops, and that was really well received, but it was partway through the project. Based on the co-design session and feedback from young people, what we did is we changed it in round two to be that more practical support. We did a project management webinar and a event planning and delivery webinar, and these were recorded. So young people could continue to go back and rewatch them if they wanted, or could catch up if they couldn't make it. Some of the additional opportunities that we offered to the group was, so we had City of Melbourne had a stall at the Zero Waste Festival, and we asked if any of the young people with their projects wanted to showcase there. So the bottom left picture is Lara from Future Forte project, showcasing her green careers. We had an opportunity for young people to participate in the Two Bays podcast. From Regen Projects, and we were also able to showcase young people and the work they were doing and the impact they were making through some articles. In terms of the community network building, we did this through group meetings as well as digital spaces. We also connected young people to mentors in the climate space when they wanted to learn more about the particular project they wanted to deliver. And we also, apart from me, so obviously I was the grant manager for all of the 19 projects, but, you know, we also thought that it was good to have other City of Melbourne staff in there to share not only the load, but also they may have different experiences and different skills in which they could offer the group of young people. And we ran a range of events and activities that the young people could come together and kind of chat and connect and cross-pollinate. So we also offered some speaking opportunities. So you can see the top left is at the Zero Waste Festival. We had Clancy, one of our youth leads, present there. We offered young people who were in round one leadership opportunities to support those who were in round two. So the top right is 3 young people who participated in round one who presented at the information session for round 2 and were able to share their experiences and what they found positive and difficult as well, and also to support young people to do applications and find connections. And what we found is that some really lovely things happened was that there was actually a lot of cross-pollination and cross-collaboration on some of the projects. So as you can see, the bottom 2 photos are where different youth leads are actually participating in different youth programs in the same round. So I thought that was really great, showing the strength of connecting the young people and working together. So in terms of the ongoing support, in round 1, we had a WhatsApp group and we also had a shared OneDrive folder in which we kept resources and young people could upload photos. Following the co-design session and feedback, got some pretty frank feedback that Slack is now uncool. Sorry, that WhatsApp is now uncool and we need to move to Slack. So we did move to a Slack channel. I also offered more structured ongoing sessions. So I have a weekly drop-in in my calendar in which young people can just come and chat to me anytime about anything. I copied Sam and created a link directly to my calendar, which is amazing because young people feel really comfortable booking in to chat to me. And it saves me from having to go back and forth with 20 different groups about what times work. So that has really reduced that resource load for me. But I guess navigating that kind of digital connection space is something kind of new for us at City of Melbourne. So we really worked with our child safe officers to develop a code of appropriate use. And we use this for Slack. And this is about boundaries, about what Slack is for, about, positive interactions. It's also around visibility for who I or who any other City of Melbourne staff member are having DMs with. So we download the content just into a document, which if ever we were to be audited, that would all be visible and transparent. And we just respecting boundaries and the times that we're contacting young people, letting them know that if we're contacting them outside of business hours, that it's a time that suits us. Some of us, like myself, with little kids and part-time, we work flexi hours. So it's really about being respectful to ensure that we're not putting an onus on being contactable all the time. In saying that, I do find that a lot of young people contact me after hours because perhaps that is the time that they've got to actually work on their projects outside of everything else that they're doing. So it's just a bit of a balance. Some examples, we've had 30 projects delivered over the 2 years, but just a few examples. We've had clothes swaps, bee hotel making workshops, we've had summits, we've had workshops, we've had high school planting and composting projects, hackathons. We've got a documentary being created this year. We've had pop-up green spaces. I'm not going to talk to these two slides, but this as if it was shared later. This is the list of our 2024 projects, and this is the list of our 2025 projects. So in terms of running this project now for 2 years, what are my learnings and reflections? Working with young people is such a privilege. Meaningful co-design takes time and needs to be continuously checked in on to make sure that young people are still continuing to shape the direction of the project. The funding is great for youth action, but it can't be achieved without capacity building and project support for the young people. So it's not something that can be done in isolation. Resourcing to support youth participation and youth action is just really critical. Learn from me, make sure capacity building is at the beginning of the project and not partway through. Also, don't assume that it's all been absorbed just after one session. I found that reiterating a lot of it and chatting to young people at each time I met with them was really good to make sure that getting a sense of how much they'd picked up from those sessions. And also it just doesn't help to reaffirm what you may already know. In this space, we know that climate is like a wicked issue. So it was about allowing space for up and down feelings relating to climate change. As it was mentioned before, it's one of the biggest issues affecting young people. We also know from a lot of research that doing some hands-on things can actually help to reduce some of that eco-anxiety, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. So allowing space and acknowledging that it is okay to have these up and down feelings relating to climate. What's really worked the second time around was having mechanisms for continued support, such as the drop-in sessions in my diary. The Slack was really important, but it's critical to think about that safeguarding and transparency for the online spaces in particular. And also the safeguarding of young people running events for young people, because young people are moving from primarily being an attendee at events to actually managing the events. And I think because a lot of these young people are very capable, there has been an assumption that other people participating or volunteering in the project are also very capable, but we've actually had some kind of child safe things come up where maybe volunteers in the project have been given more responsibility than perhaps was appropriate for some of the youth volunteers. The other thing is, so big feedback from young people, they want a mix of face-to-face meetings as well as digital workspaces. Conscious that I'm not a young person and I'm just reflecting back what I've heard, be super keen to hear what Mary and Kai think too. That in this project, they really, really like to connect with like-minded, passionate young people and to build a community and to be paid and recognised for their work. In both feedback sessions with young people, this was a really big thing. One of the things that the Bloomberg project doesn't allow for is funding directly to young people, which I think a lot of us in the room probably agree that that's not best practice. And it's certainly something that every time I meet with Bloomberg, I advocate for. So what's next with the project? We're about to wrap up end of October. We will continue to support young people who are passionate about climate and anything else. One of the main strategic levers to continue in some way may have to move to our youth strategy actions, so our youth strategies in development, because the continued funding, we're not sure if Bloomberg will offer this again. And at this stage, City of Melbourne wouldn't be able to offer like for like grant funding or grant program. But we'll continue to offer events and activities for connection, collaboration, and for young people to reflect on climate change. So that's the end of my section. So I just wanted to invite Mary to come off her mute and present on your part.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. Really excited to share a bit about what our project was. If you can go to my first slide, please, Krystel, that would be awesome. So yeah, as I mentioned briefly at the start of the meeting, Climate for Change is a nonprofit organization that supports everyday people to have more meaningful conversations about climate change and to take action. And we really want those programs to help combat eco-anxiety, avoidance, and apathy, which I think is something that a lot of young people in particular really struggle with when thinking about the future and an issue as big as climate change. It can be so overwhelming. So our programs really try to I guess, empower people and give them some tools to take action. Next slide, please. This is a really quick overview of the programs that we run. So we have a program called Climate Conversations. It's a 2-hour workshop that helps people kind of understand what climate change is and what they can do about it. And it's run in existing social networks. So like by friends and family for each other to sort of allow for that trust in that messaging and also to build community collective action. We also offer training on how to talk about climate change, which is our Effective Conversations training. And that's, for people who want to have more meaningful conversations about climate change. And we also run MP engagement groups. So we provide resources and support for people to run MP letter writing and calling groups with their friends. And the program that we ran under this grant was mostly the Effective Conversations training, but also some elements of the MP engagement and sort of democratic education stuff. Next slide, please. So this was what our project involved. It was called the Youth Climate Leaders Training, and we ran it at Melbourne Zoo. And we did 2 one-day workshops. One of them was for 18 to 25-year-olds and the other was for 15 to 18-year-olds. And that consisted of a 2-hour workshop with Climate for Change and a 2-hour workshop with the Zoo's Victoria education team. I was super excited to run a youth-focused version of our training that normally is for all ages. Obviously, as a young person, it's really nice to be working with peers. So that was something really exciting for me as well. Next slide, please. I was one of the youth leads alongside Matilda, who is one of our amazing team members who runs our socials, and another young person, Abia, who helped us with planning and analysing our impact measurement. The participants, we really tried to focus on providing the participants with ways that they could take action on climate change that impacts systemic change. So that means not telling them that they need to stress about personal actions, although things like recycling are really great. It's fossil fuel companies that are destroying our climate. So we tried to cover ways in the training that they could bring more people on board with supporting climate action through conversations, so that our governments know that there is critical mass of citizens who support that stronger climate action. We trained them on how to have conversations with their friends and family that were like really empowering and actions focused, and how to avoid ending up in arguments with people, which I think is something that a lot of people feel really anxious about when they're talking about climate change. And then we also talked about the most effective ways to engage with MPs by writing letters and calling, and sort of encouraging young people that that's something that they can engage with as constituents, whether or not they're 18 yet and old enough to vote. Next slide, please. Our main learnings were that we needed a longer lead time for recruitment and getting the message out. I think YPPN actually shared our events, so thank you very much for doing that. And we reflected that maybe titling it a leadership program deterred some people that didn't identify as a leader. So that's something that we might consider changing for next time. Next slide, please. Something that worked really well was kind of breaking up being outside. When they were doing stuff with the zoo education team, they were walking around the zoo and learning about different animals and how they were impacted about climate change. And then when they were with us, they had some like sitting down time. We had all of our fidget toys and stuff to support that, but that balance seemed to work really well. We were also worried that people would be a bit shy and like not talk to each other, but they actually did really well. And we had conversation cards on the table that really helped to break the ice in like a non-awkward, forcing everyone to do an icebreaker kind of way, which I think people appreciated. And overall, we just got really great feedback that people were feeling like inspired and empowered at the end of the day, which was really, really nice. I think one of the best parts was at the start of the day, we asked everyone to go around and just say one word for how they feel about taking climate action. And at the start of the day, like, it was bleak. Everyone was like, I feel hopeless, anxious, cynical. But at the end of the day, everyone was so energized. Like, they were saying they felt excited and hopeful. So that was really great. Yeah. I think I have a couple of extra photos in there that haven't been, oh yeah, those are our lovely groups. But yeah, I think I'll chat more when you've got questions for us at the end.
Awesome. Now I'm up, so I'll just quickly share my screen. Send request. Awesome. From beginning. Let me know if you can. Oh, now user gone. I've got no idea where these are. Can you see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up or anything?
I can't see anything yet.
It's not coming through just yet, Kai.
Awesome. Oh, here we are. How's that?
Something's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. From beginning. So, this is one of the habitats we've made. So, Yettabilla habitat pods, air-conditioned turtle domes. So, I'll go to the next slide. This is some of the stuff I'll be talking to you briefly about. So, the project will run community workshops for all ages in Melbourne to come along and construct Yettabilla habitat pods. The pods are woven using traditional techniques with Indigenous plants from Melbourne to create microclimate habitat for turtles. We're working closely with the Narrett Rangers, the Wurundjeri Rangers, and we'll monitor the Yettabilla habitat pods as well as teach cultural and environmental knowledge to the participants about the significance of turtles in the Melbourne waterways. We blend modern science with traditional knowledge, teaches community about natural environment from First Nations perspectives. So here's one of the posters that I have out. Here's some of Melbourne's turtles, and then next to it is what they're doing for climate change. And here's a photo of one of the pods. So that's the inside of a pod there. Do you see how it's like a cross weave? I don't know if you can see my fingers, but the kabungi there is traditionally known for when it's really hot outside, you'll see the weaves and they loosen like this. And when it's really cold and raining, the weaves go tighter. So it's got heating and cooling properties that we're studying at the moment, which is proven to be correct from what aunties and uncles and elders have taught me, that heating and cooling. So these pods are like I said, like they've got their own air conditioning and heating. And turtles aren't, they don't have chromosomes like us. They're a boy or girl by the temperature of their nests. So we're seeing up in Queensland, 80% of turtles are all female, and it is 20% male because the nests are too warm. And this is due to climate change and the warmer weathers we're getting up in Queensland, which will eventually hit us. So my grant is about promoting awareness and not waiting for the disaster to happen and then thinking of something, but giving that knowledge and teaching people now about how we can prevent it with stuff like these habitat pods. So what are your thoughts for going into a project? Sense of pride for myself and within the community. And this is not just within Melbourne, but this is from back home as well, as I'm a Yorta man, and the totem is a long-necked turtle. So it's an obligation to look after the turtle. And this grant has given me the opportunity to work in turtle conservation, which is my dream job. So I'm absolutely wrapped with that. Your learnings after delivering the project. So we're currently still delivering the project. It's not quite finished yet. The turtles haven't nested yet. So the next big rain we're going to get in November is when we're going to go work with the rangers and go put these pods out. So what have I learned? There's learning a lot how to promote community events. So I've never ran a community event until these ones now. And here's some lovely people that come to one of my workshops. Krystel and City of Melbourne's been absolutely amazing with that, and collaborations. So Clancy that you saw earlier has been a humongous help, and other youth leaders that I've just been able to meet, from Krystel getting me onto other like-minded people has made this grant, and I guess the rest of my life in environmental industry, and then the connections with the city. So we done the Melbourne Summit as well, and I think that doing that early on before this grant, so it was what we want Melbourne to look like in 2050, and being able to participate in that was a humongous step of, like, I guess everyone having their mind on 2050 and what we actually want that get done, and having our voice heard was unbelievable because of Krystel and this grant. How young people were supported for success. 24/7 help. So as we saw on Slack, Krystel's always been available for any messages that I've had, which has been super, super helpful. Yeah, so she also has regular meetings, and this got put in when we first started. So I was looking at my calendar in October and November, and there's all these optional calendars for months in advance. So with that, as well as just, I could just message her and she would answer. So that was so helpful with being able to get this grant up and running. Overall reflections as a young person to participate. I was very inspired by a lot of the other grants, and a lot of the other grants has also helped me sort of reflect on, like, I went to a few of the other projects and workshops, and it was just how they spoke at theirs was, I learned a lot of things of how I should speak at my own. Thank you, and I'll get some questions at the end. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Perfect. Awesome.
So awesome. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, folks. My brain is just whizzing. My heart and hope are totally full. What I'm going to do actually is remove the spotlights right now, because I think that just makes a kind of group conversation a little bit less daunting, a little bit more open. We've run over time a little bit, folks, but I think everyone's loving this as far as I can tell. So my suggestion would be, if you need a break, turn your camera off and have a little stretch, grab a tea or whatnot, and come back, because I think we'll just sort of power through. We will try and finish by 12. And what we might do is just have the Q&A for another 5 minutes or so, and then turn off the recording and have a bit of a group debrief rather than going into the breakout groups. So we'll just sort of shift things on the fly and make the best of the time that we've got left. And no, you don't have to apologize, Krystel. You all had so much to talk about, and honestly, people have been fascinated by it. So absolutely all good. I'll invite Harmony to introduce themselves and open up the Q&A. Thanks, Harmony.
Amazing. Thank you, Sam. Hi all, I'm Harmony. I use they, she pronouns, and I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm on today and pay respects to elders past and present. I'm a field officer for the Centre of Excellence Young People in Disasters, which is a partnership between YPPN and Victoria University, uplifting the voices of young people in the disaster space, which I feel like when I heard about what Kai, Mary and Krystel are doing at City of Melbourne, felt like it really connected with them. So I was very excited to see how I could support today. But yeah, these projects sound fabulous. Really loved hearing about it. And I've got some reflections, but I might reach out to you independently because we don't have much time at the moment, but such cool projects. Yeah, so for this Q&A today, I'm going to ask some questions to get a bit more of an idea of these projects and the awesome people behind them. And then we'll go to the audience for other questions. Feel free to pop questions in the chat, but also once I've finished, I'll let people ask questions as well. Like, feel free to pop your hand up if you have a question. I can also read questions out of the chat once we're done with these first few that I have. So the first question for Kai and Mary, tell us about your experience being a part of this program. Do you feel that the program helped you on your journey to being a climate champion?
Yeah, I can answer first. Yeah, I'm so grateful that this was the first ever grant that I got, because I did apply for some more, and getting this was just, I couldn't ask for anything better, because you're just set from the start, from learning all this stuff about project management and how you should do your time. And it was just so amazing and so helpful with with me being able to run my workshops.
Yeah, same. It's been a really great experience. I think it's helped a lot to get connected with other young people who are interested in climate action as well. And in particular, like, we have young people who attended our sessions that are now like engaged volunteers with us, which is really cool. So it's definitely, it's helped me and helped our organization a lot.
So awesome. Such a cool opportunity for both of you, and really glad to hear that it's brought other young people along for the journey too. That's, amazing. If you were running the program yourself next year, what would you do the same, and what would you do differently?
I'm happy to go first. I ran some of my workshops on the last couple of days of school holidays, and I think everyone was just wanting to slack off, so I didn't get as many participants. So working on a day that I guess thinking of your participants more of what day would suit them more. And the last day of school holidays, when everyone's buggered and just want to relax and get ready for school, I feel like if I was going to run it again, I've got to be more cautious on setting dates that work for everybody. I reckon that's my answer.
Thanks. Harmony, did you mean like if I was running my program or if I was running the grant program? Or either?
Grant program. I'm going to jump in. It's Krystel. I want your advice.
That's cool. Well, I think the things that I would do the same are that there were like really amazingly clear requirements. That's one of the most helpful things, is just feeling really confident from the requirements that we're like ticking off the things that we need to do. The drop-in sessions were also extremely helpful. And like just being able to provide the support that we ask for without sort of like forcing us to get support with things that we actually don't really need help with, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of youth orgs or kind of like force young people to access support that they might not actually be interested in. So I found that like being tailored, I would do that exactly the same. That was really helpful. And then, I mean, the main thing that I would do differently, Krystel already alluded to it, but the Bloomberg Foundation has that requirement of not paying young people. And I mean, for us, like some of our young people, including myself, that are involved are actually staff members, which I think is a really great thing, that we're being supported as young people to be properly running and leading the program as staff, but it does make a bit of a weird situation in the grant situation. So I think that would be really good to be able to support more young people to get involved.
Awesome. Thank you both. Those are some really, really great reflections. And I think like there's a lot of stuff in there that we can all take into our work in this space too. It sounds like it was, a really great program that supported you to make your dreams come true, I guess. And I hope you can find ways to build on that and use the skills that you've developed and access that support more. Amazing. Is there any questions from the audience at all? Feel free to raise your hand or pop any in the chat. If there is already some in the chat, I'll have a look.
I think, Sam speaking, I think the ones in the chat have mostly been answered by team. They've been able to jump in and offer some feedback, which is awesome. So I don't know if has anybody got any other questions. You're welcome to pop your hand up. Otherwise, we'll wrap up the recording for now. At least we can keep the conversation going. Hans has put one in there. Do you know what? The recording has been going quite a while. So what I might do is wrap up the recording so we can just have a bit of a debrief So yeah, if you're watching this online on YouTube, thanks for sticking with us to this point. Check out yakvic.org.au/YPPN to find out about registering and coming to these events live. Thanks to our speakers for today, Mary, to Kai, and to Krystel, and also to Harmony for helping with the Q&A there as well.